This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Matt from MJ asks a question, and his phrasing, I could see why someone would take offense, but I think he's trying to be complimentary. So let's do it. Who's the best in-ring worker you've wrestled that never really made it big? So said differently, maybe who is the most under you ever wrestled?
I would say, and I wrestled him late in my career, but I would say Chad Gable. I think this kid has so much potential. And I know the company started pushing him, then they laid off, and then they pushed him and laid off. But I don't know if it has to do with his size, but the guy is amazing. And he, in real life, he could whoop any of those wrestlers' asses. So,
Right.
he's a real life badass. And, to not have him go to the main event level where he deserves to be is just blows my mind, because he is very talented. Great technical wrestler, former Olympian. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Do you think, and I don't know this, I'm just asking, because you've been there, you've been everywhere. Do you think if Chad Gable, and I'm not saying he's asking for this, I think he recently re-signed, but if he were to leave WWE and go tear it up in New Japan, do you think if he came back with a fresh coat of paint, that perhaps American fans or even the WWE would see him differently?
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't encourage him to do it.
No.
I wouldn't give anybody that type of advice. I want them to do what they were comfortable with doing. But I think Chad does need a makeover. I think that him going there and getting more experience and coming back with a different character or something that, a little bit of a subtle change, I think that would really help him. So I'm not saying he should do it. I'm just saying that it's not bad advice to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, it just feels like whenever a guy wants to sort of recreate himself, he needs to leave, and the most recent example of that to me is Drew McIntyre. I mean, he came in as the chosen one and then wound up being a 3-man band and then wound up cut, became the top guy in TNA, had a hell of a run in the UK, and he came back and now he's at the tippy top of the card. And I don't know if he didn't have that time away, if anybody would have had a chance to look at him through a new lens, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there have been a lot of wrestlers that tried, were started in WWE, left and came back hotter than ever. So, it's happened in the past quite a bit. So I think that that's a great idea.
Well, here's one, and this is a fun name. Jim Bob Squarepants wants to know, how fun was it to have yourself, Stone Cold, and Vince McMahon doing the cowboy hat kumbaya skits?
That was so much fun. It was the best time I had in my career. And you know what? I think the reason we started is because Steve and I got injured.
Yep.
Pay-per-view, and I wrestled Shane at the King of the Ring, and he wrestled Booker T, and we both hurt our backs. So they didn't want two of the top guys in the company to be sitting at home. So Vince said, we're gonna entertain the fans the best way we can. We're gonna use Austin and Kurt. They have great chemistry. They're complete opposite characters, and Vince McMahon's gonna be right in there with them. They're gonna make a little team, and they're gonna be a bunch of idiots. So, it was so much fun doing that, and it was so hard not to laugh when we were doing the pre-tapes. But Vince, if you would have laughed, Vince would have gotten mad, and he probably would have said, "You're fired." So we weren't going to be able to enjoy the pay-per-view until the director said cut, and then everybody would break out laughing. It was so much fun.
Here's one from Grayson Flax. He says, Kurt, during your most recent WWE run, was there ever any talk about reforming Team Angle with you, Chad Gable, and Jason Jordan?
I brought it up, and they kind of let it go by the wayside, but I kept reminding them, and I think they would eventually did it. I think I would have managed both Gable and Jordan if Jordan did get injured. When he got injured, I think the idea fell through the table, and there was no other other wrestler. Just managing one wrestler wouldn't be a team. So you have to manage at least two of the wrestlers to make it a team. And since Jason got injured, I think that fell by the wayside, and it wasn't going to happen. I wish it would have, though.
Dawson Field says, besides Brock Lesnar, what past opponent could have been your biggest challenge in an amateur wrestling match?
Shelton Benjamin, without a doubt. That kid is extremely gifted. One of the best athletes I've ever been in the ring with. I've actually wrestled with him a little bit amateur. We didn't really go live. We drilled. But he was a late bloomer. This kid didn't start amateur wrestling until his junior year in high school. Won states both years, his junior and senior year, went to Minnesota, became a two-time All-American in college with just a few years experience. The kid, if he would have continued on, I think he would have become an Olympian. He was starting to mature by the time his senior year in college came around. So I think his best years were ahead of him, but he skipped that and went straight to the WWE.
It worked out.
It worked out, yes.
Rory wants to know, how involved were you in the team angle concept? Are there any other wrestlers you would have liked to have had join your stable?
We didn't have any other wrestlers planned. The team angle concept was to help me become champion. I would utilize these, my goons, I guess you would call them, my teammates, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, and throw them in front of Brock to keep Brock away from me. That was the whole idea at the beginning. But it caught on and it became very popular, and we stuck with it for a while. Not long enough. We should have that team angle for 10 years. We only had it for like 6 months because I got injured, and then I came back from injury, and Vince McMahon wanted me to wrestle Shelton and Charlie and go for the world title on my own. But I absolutely love team angle, and we didn't have any we weren't looking for any other talent to be added to it. The only time I considered it again was in 2017 when I came back and I wanted to get Jason Jordan and Chad Gable in the team angle.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.